Hello everyone and welcome back to the Retro Recall. I hope you're doing awesome. Today we have the beautiful Dell Dimension XPS B933 tower back on the bench. This system was saved from e-waste and featured in two other Retro Recall videos. If you haven't seen them, please check them out. So how today's video came to light was I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, and he was talking about the Retro Recall, big supporter of the channel, and had mentioned about two separate Linux distributions, and it really piqued my interest the way he was describing them to me. So I went and checked them out. So I figured today we would spend a little time featuring a different Linux distribution on the Retro Recall entitled DSL 2024. No, I'm not talking about digital subscriber line. We're not bringing that back to mainstream. We are talking damn small Linux. So you know what? We have lots to do. Let's get right to it. So as I mentioned, we have DSL 2024, Damn Small Linux 2024. So I don't know a lot about this distribution outside of just it was suggested to me by my colleague. And the reason he suggested it is that it can run on many different types of hardware, all the way from as early as 486. I was floored. I went and checked some of the documentation, and sure enough, it supports a 486 CPU. And I thought that was so neat. And DSL has been around early on in the early 2000s, and I wasn't aware of that. It came in a 50 megabyte version of the software. And everything that I went through and read up on this particular distribution indicated that they were doing everything they could to make a modern distribution of this for newer hardware, but also supporting all the way back to the original hardware that the original 50 meg distribution supported back in the day. And going from 50 megs all the way up to almost 700 megabytes onto one CD. And that was the goal, to fit all that distribution onto one CD, one CDR. And so that was the key. And they had mentioned that the reason that it's so much larger is because of all the different software and things that they wanted to include with it, but also how the hardware support and the driver support and all those things had ballooned over the years. And so naturally it would take up more space. So I'm really interested to see this today. And again, I have no affiliation with this. The creator of DSL 2024, I have never used this. I have never seen this. It has never even been in this computer. I just grabbed a Pentium 3 computer because I figured that was pretty cool. Had a CD-ROM drive. Not to mention I love seeing the system back on the bench. And I'm going to put it on and go do this with everybody live. And that's one of the unique perspectives that I offer on this channel, being a very beginner, novice user of Linux. You get to see my eyes and my genuine reactions when we go through the installation. Okay, so we have a better view of the monitor. I'm just going to turn on the power to the computer, and we're going to see exactly what the hardware is installed in this Dell Dimension. I don't remember the exact system specs. I believe it has onboard Trident video, and we also have a Pentium 3 933 and 512 megabytes of memory. Okay, so it should be automatically set to boot to the CD, and I have the DSL 2024 currently in the CD-ROM drive. So there we are. So it gives us different modes to boot from. So we have DSL 2024, safe video mode, virtual box video, fail-safe boot, text, low RAM, lower RAM, and boot from hard disk. So I imagine boot from hard disk would just put us right back to the system that's already installed. So along the bottom, you also have some options here. So we have F2 for language is currently set to English. Our time zones auto options currently set are none. F5 is for persist, it's off, desktop is default, and console is default. So I'm going to go all the way up to our DSL 2024 because that's exactly what we're trying to load. It says loading Linux kernel. And again, I'm booting this off of CD. Now, you can do it off of a USB stick. I believe there's some configuration you have to do to get that going. But again, I'm just going by, specifically going by the instructions. So it does tell me to use a CD where possible, so that's what I'm doing. So we have Alt F1 to see the boot process, or Alt F10 to return to this screen. So just for, good old giggles, I'm going to hit Alt F1. And so we can see the actual startup of the Linux distribution. So it says, welcome DSL 2024, Linux kernel 5.10. And then as you go through, it's going and detecting all the different system settings and setting all the different settings for it to load. Okay, scanning for hardware-specific video modules, telling it what driver to use. And ideally, it's going to load into the live environment. And here we are booting into the live environment for DSL 2024. And one of the things I'm looking for when I see this booting is, like no different than when I use Knoppix to test out different systems just to see if they boot into the live environment. This would be another great candidate for that, assuming that this works. So I like how it's giving me all the different system resources on this side. So it shows the uptime, the resolution of the current screen, the DPI, the auto mount is enabled, RAM is showing 54 megabytes used of 491 available to the system, and the CPU is currently running at 88% with 93 processes at this moment. And it shows our top processes that are running. And then there's a little section there for network, which of course we don't have plugged in at this moment. I will do that when it comes time to test. So we have a cool little background, some nice artwork in the bottom. We have what looks like a taskbar along the bottom that just started. And because this is just a live environment, I'm not going to be doing any sort of configuring at this moment because we're going to explore all this when we actually get the system installed. Okay, so we have a little more color onto the mix now that we're booted into the desktop. And it just came up with this screen right away. It says Conman, C-O-N-N-M-A-N, system tray. Status, global properties, status idle, off mode disabled, all devices off. Technologies, wired Ethernet is on, powered on, but of course is not currently connected. We don't have that connected, and it would of course show different services. Under our details, under service, there's nothing listed here. Wireless, preferences, and help. I'm not really familiar with this. If you do know what this console is for, please let me know down in the comments. But for now, I am going to close it. But you can see how the desktop has changed in color after everything had loaded. So we do have a couple icons on the desktop, and it looks like they're instant click, like no double clicking required. We have File Manager, DSL 2024 FAQ, and Installer. So like I mentioned, I kind of figured that this is the way it was going to go based on the high-level things I had read, similar to that of Linux Mint, where it just kind of provides the installer on the desktop for you to proceed. So this is the live environment. I imagine I can run what I need to run, plus of course it would run off the CD. Now this can be installed from a USB stick as well if required. I just chose the CDR because that was what it was really boasting it could use, is that you could use one CDR to install a modern version of Linux on an older piece of hardware, and that's what I was trying to do. All right, I'm going to click on installer, and we're going to see if we can install the software. So it's enter your password. So the account is demo, so we have demo as well as the password. Hit OK on that. And it says here, checking installation media, escape to skip. So before I go escaping on that, because I know that the media's, well, I did a verification when I copied it, but it says enjoy using Damn Small Linux. I just love the name. Support Damn Small Linux. It's a Damn Small Linux is supported by people like you. Some help others at the support forum. So it shows damnsmalllinux.org/forums, or translate help files into different languages, or make suggestions, write documentation, or help test new software. And that's one of the nice things about Linux being open source, is that you have a lot of people helping contribute to the environments. Under live log, it says version 24.02.13, live boot we're currently in, and then of course it's going through and checking the media. So we're going to escape for now. We don't need to do that. Are you sure you want to skip checking the installation media? We're going to click on yes. We're going to take our chances into installing this. Terms of use. Damn Small Linux is an independent Linux distribution based on Debian stable. Damn Small Linux uses some components from MEPIS Linux, which are released under an Apache free license. Some MEPS, or is that Memphis, components have been modified for Damn Small Linux. Enjoy using Damn Small Linux. They really want to throw that in there, don't they? Okay, it says keyboard settings, PC 105, layout US, that's perfectly fine. We're using our Model M today. Okay, so select type of installation. So we have options here. We can go custom the disk layout or regular install using the entire disk. And I'm going to do that for now, just because this hard disk that's in here is at Western Digital 80 gigabyte. That was just used for, you see it's a DOS partition. It was just used for the Windows 2000 that was installed in the system, so I don't mind utilizing this again. All right, I'm going to select that and click on Next. And it says the DSL installer will now perform the requested actions. These actions cannot be undone. Do you want to continue? Format and use the entire disk SDA for DSL. I'll click on Start for yes. And it says 0% preparing to install damn small Linux. I can abort it if I want. Computer network name. So computer name is going to be DSL1. And the domain is going to be example.com. That's fine. I'm not going to be doing anything on the system. Again, this is just for testing reasons. I really like that we can see everything going on, the live log that they include. So you can actually see that things are being done to your system while it's installing, versus say like a Windows environment. When you're installing through Windows, it just kind of gives you nice happy prompts and little turning wheels and different advertisements and things like that. So it's really neat to see this. All right, so it said that it was formatting, which it says complete, and it says mounting, so it mounted the drive, and then copying new system. So it says right now I imagine it's copying the files over from the distribution. Now, one of the comments I had read in the actual manual was it did state that the software does take a while to install because they jam-pack so much data into compressed libraries to make it fit onto a CDR. Now, obviously, you're relying on the access times from the CDR to install this. You guys will see this in fast time when I decide to do a little bit of a jump cut here. But I mean, utilizing, as I mentioned, a USB stick would be obviously a lot faster. I opted to go for the CD, as I mentioned earlier, because it, again, boasts that it can fit onto a CDR. And of course, not all retro systems had USB, so I'm forcing it to use the CDR. Okay, so everything's been copied over by the looks of things, and asked me for my localization defaults. And it is American English, United States. I don't see Canada here anywhere. It says time zone US. I do have Canada on here. That's actually really good. And then the style of time is 157. That's fine. We don't use that everywhere. We'll click on next, and default user login name, we'll do TRR. Default password is definitely not TRR. Super secure password, and we'll definitely confirm our super secure password that is not TRR. Okay, and the root admin account will be TRR as well, and TRR as well for confirm root. And then we're going to auto log in. That's fine. Nothing to do. Save live desktop changes. We're good. Okay, I think this is good. Again, I'm only doing this for the sake of the video today, and really just to see my first time experiencing this. I imagine it's one of those things as I try different Linux distributions that I get used to a certain one that I really like, and then I'm going to get really into using that particular operating system. Basic information about DSL is at DSL or damsmalllinux.org. They are volunteers to help you at the DSL 2024 forum. And then if you ask for help, please remember to describe your problem, etc. So then it's going very quickly now. So support DSL, and I believe, again, this is the same screen we saw earlier, just asking us to support them, whether it's translating files in different languages, make suggestions, write documentation, etc. As I imagine is with a lot of the Linux distributions there that we have today. Adjusting the sound mixer, DSL attempts to configure the sound mixer for you, but sometimes it will be necessary for you to turn up volumes and unmute channels in the mixer in order to hear sound. The mixer shortcut is located in the menu. Click on it to open the mixer. And so far in real time, I know I cut a lot of this out, but you'll see that it says 29 minutes up top. That hasn't changed from the moment we are in the live environment, which I think is pretty cool. then it continues to show the resources up top in the kind of like this little widget, I guess. So it is showing that we're currently using 119 megabytes now of our 491 allocated to the system. In terms of like feeling fast, it's not bad, considering it's only a Pentium 3 933 megahertz CPU. I mean, I don't have any overclocking going on or anything like that. And we also have the 512 megabytes of memory, but it does seem to be working quite well. We're talking about putting a Pentium 3 using modern Linux, well, on the internet. So we're going to see what happens here. Okay, so it's a special thanks to everyone who's chosen to support DSL with their time, money, suggestions, work, praise, ideas, promotion, and or encouragement. Without you, there would be no damn small Linux. DSL 2024 dev team. All right, it says installation complete. Automatically reboot the system when the installer is closed. And again, it talks about supporting the system itself. Okay, we're going to click on finish. We'll leave that checked because that was default, checked by default. And we'll click on finish. And it says finished in the bottom left as well. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens next. And I was worried that this would come up. So for a novice user not understanding what this is, my system is set to automatically boot from the optical drive, barring there's no floppy disk. And it's here. And so it's detected a bootable CD, and here we are. I imagine if I went back into any of these other than boot from hard disk, it's going to try to load up from the live environment again. So in this case, I'm going to say boot from hard disk. So I'm just using my experience as a computer user to say that. Otherwise, I feel that if I select the first one, it will go back into the live environment. Because ideally, the CD won't be in here after this. So we'll click on boot from hard disk for now and see if that works. Okay, we're at the desktop. So the first thing we're going to do is click on the menu down below. So one thing I'm noticing though is that the installer is gone now. So we are running from the hard disk this time. And it is showing that we're currently using 66 megabytes of our 491 allocated, still running in that 1024 by 768 resolution. So drivers right out of the box for the video card that we had installed. And if you look, the CPU is only running at 1% currently, which is pretty slick. I mean, yeah, 4%, 6% as I move things around. But again, having a Pentium 3 CPU running at 933 megahertz from 1990s, here we are. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so let's do some exploring of this operating system, shall we? The whole reason why we're here. So remember, I am a completely entry-level beginner user. So on the desktop, we do have File Manager and DSL 2024 FAQ. We're going to click on File Manager. I imagine this is the same as like Windows Explorer or File Explorer. So we have File, Open URL, File Search, Terminal, Root Terminal, Save Tabs, and Exit. We have View, different views, our devices. So it shows that we do have the CD that's currently mounted in the drive. I can unmount that if I want. We'll leave it in there for now. Under bookmarks, in case we had some bookmarks saved, tools, new command, and our user manual. And then I like how it's giving us kind of the command lines of everything, but at the same time, it gives us my point and click area. So we do have the bookmarks, home, recent files, downloads, documents, pictures, videos, music, and trash. And you know, our current directory is home/trr. That's what we're seeing here. If we click on this, I wonder if we're able to go right to the root. Let's see here under home, we have trr. Let's just go right back to the backslash. And sure enough, yeah, we do. So this is more of the, would be like on the C drive, I guess. So we have our menu. One thing I'm noticing is when I hover over it, it's not giving me any sort of hints. Like it's not coming up and saying, this is your where you start, for example. I don't want to call it the start menu because it's not, but you know, something like that. And this little has like 3 little dots here, and I don't know what that does. Workspace Alpha, and then 2 little arrows next to that. So when I click on that, it says Workplace Beta and Workplace Alpha. You know, is that 2 separate workspaces? Like, you know, you'd have different desktops, for example. And on the far right, we do have Mixer, which is what they had talked about in the installation. And then over here, we have left and right arrows, which do nothing at the moment. But I imagine if I had some things running, it would toggle between the different things that are open. That's just my guess. And then we have the date of August 1st. It's currently saying it's 4:16 a.m. It is not. Okay, under menu. So we do have, well, basically what I will deem as a start menu. And if I right click on the background, there's one thing something I noticed earlier when I was messing around with the system a little bit. I do have the same exact menu with a left click here as I do with a right click anywhere else. So I think that's pretty convenient. I do like that feature where it's kind of like popping out the menu or the start menu down below, and it's allowing you to access it here on the desktop while you're kind of, you know, intuitively I would always go down here, but if you right click, it gives you the exact same menu. So just because of what we're doing, let's take a look at all this. So we do have terminal, which I'm not going to be going into because, well, I'm not very familiar with terminal, but I know a lot of Linux power users do use a terminal quite a bit. I'm more focused on the entry-level novice user, clicking in here and seeing what this is all about. So we have File Manager, which we already saw earlier. Now we have two versions of web browser. So we have web browser and light web browser. Before I go any further, I want to try to see if I make this bigger on screen for everybody. But one thing I noticed down here is when I was playing around earlier, I see styles. I'm going to go to that blue, I guess, because the blue is a little easier for everyone to kind of see on the screen, and definitely nice to have it large enough that when I click around, I don't have to change the screen resolution either, so you still have the real estate, but then you have the bigger menus. Okay, I'm going to go back to right-clicking anywhere on my desktop, apparently, because that brings up this menu. So I'm going to click on Web Browser and see what we have for Web Browser. I'm doing this because, well, I want to see if we're actually able to run a modern-day Linux on this Pentium 3, and it's so far so good. I'm going to get the internet hooked up to this because I want to see if we can get this going. Okay, so I've connected a network cable to my local connection here, and sure enough, it popped up immediately a website. It says https://damsmalllinux.org/hero. Will you be my hero? Home, download, forums. Hey there, it's me, John, creator of Damn Small Linux. I just love the name. I wanted to reach out personally because you mean a lot to this project. You see, DSL isn't just a passion project for me, it's a labor of love. So I'll leave everyone to be able to read this message, but so far, so good. Let's just go to something as simple as Google. It's already pre-populating a bunch of different addresses here. Google.com, and this is running on a Pentium 3 using what looks like a modern web browser. It's a little slow browsing, I guess. Yeah, so we do have the modern Google. I was just here today, actually, so this is the most modern picture. It is downloading. It is loading up, no problem. It just seems a little slower, obviously, than a regular browser would be. I'm not seeing very much on this YouTube, I tell you. Let's go to text more than video. Let's go to Wikipedia for a moment. So Wikipedia did load, as we can see. This is the newest version of it. But I will say that I think the network, there's a combination of things going on here, right? I mean, we have a 10100 network card that's obviously just throttling to death the connection. And then, of course, we have we might have a modern browser which allows us to see everything, but we have to wait for those things to load. We take that for granted today on gigabit Ethernet connections with, gigabytes of memory sitting in your computer. But again, just the fact that we're able to browse this on this system, I imagine if you went in and selected lower memory options, it might give you better results. I'm going to hit X on this for a moment, and I'm going to see what the light web browser is, because this is the full web browser that we loaded. So it's not freeing up the memory. There it is. It just freed up the memory. That's good. Okay, I'm going to click on light web browser this time to see if we have a different experience. It might just like cut all the extensions out and allow us to surf much better. Yeah, see, that loaded a lot faster than the Firefox version did. Now I'm going to go to, let's see what we can go to Google again. We'll do the same thing we did a moment ago, just to see. So I hit Google. Yeah, so that loaded immediately. I mean, there was no delay. As you can see, though, it's really stripped down the visuals that we're seeing. Let's go to, I think it was wikipedia.com. That automatically defaulted to .org, and then sure enough, it loads it up right away. So that's a lot faster. And we'll do the same thing with YouTube. Let's see here. So you can see like Firefox that we had up was kind of like expecting that full connection and that full experience through what we were doing. I'm not sure if YouTube will even load. I don't know if there is a stripped down version of that, but we'll see here in a moment. I mean, it's saying it's done. I mean, I'm not seeing any pictures. I mean, this is the light version, right? I mean, that's what it's saying. It's probably stripped, everything's probably stripped down completely out of this and just, yeah, just designed to do basic surfing. It says net surf at the top. Not sure what that application is, but here we are. Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of web browsing, I'm not excited over this. I mean, if I was just going to go to Google.com and go to the basic Google here for a moment. There we are. And I'm just going to go to type in latest news. Enter. Yeah, so it basically really strips down all the graphics and all the things you would see. And it shows global, CNN, and just it's almost like a text only, and strip down all the extra stuff just for the experience. Now, I mean, the fact it's even working, kudos, right? I mean, that's what we're here to talk about. It's working. So that's really neat. But I'm going to close this browser for now. I mean, I'd love it to work in the web browser. I mean, that's the full Firefox version. But, you know, I still think it needs a little more work. I don't know if I need to put in a different type of network card in here, if the system would support it. Would that be faster? Okay, let's continue. So we have term apps. All right, so web browsers. So I don't know what the term apps means. So we have web browsers, games, and applications. So I'm just going to go to links to, or web browsers it says. Let's see what that opens up. It says links to cheat sheet. I have no idea what this is. Links to cheat sheet, page 1 of 5, navigation keys. So it tells you how to navigate around whatever this is. Yeah, I mean, it's under browser. So is this a browser type game? I don't know what that is. Under games, we have Vite, Trice, Game, Space Invaders, Sudoku, Pac-Man. But we have to go to Space Invaders just because it's Space Invaders. Okay, so we have, I don't know, space to start. Oh, okay, this is so painful. Oh, especially on the Model M. It's like when I hit the key, I might have to adjust the key timing, because I'm holding down one of the arrows to go over quickly, and it's like not accepting multiple inputs at the same time. So I have to kind of like move the keyboard, then fire. This is kind of not what I'm used to, for sure. And you're all going to watch a grown man cry here. No! Oh, this is pretty neat that this is part of it, but yeah. Oh, I'm done. Game over. I wonder if there's sound. Let me see if there's sound. Let me plug in the speakers. Yeah, so I plugged the speakers in and it's not making any difference. Let's see if I can close out of it and go back in. I'm not sure if that will make a difference. Yeah, so we don't have any sound. So if I hold down the key, no problem. It does repeat, but it does take that 1 second. So it's as if it's skipping a key while it does what it's doing. But unfortunately, I'm not. It's hard to control, that's for sure. Okay, enough of that. So X for now. And under our menu, let's go back under term apps again. I'd love to know what these are. Links to and W3M. So under games, we have Space Invaders. Let's go to Pac-Man and see what that's all about. Okay, it looks like it's all text-based. Okay, that's interesting. All right, we'll go up. Okay, I see myself moving. Oh, they're coming to get me very quickly. Oh, that's really hard to navigate. Let's see if it go full screen. See if that makes a difference. No, it just kind of keeps it in this kind of resolution. Okay, we'll hit X on that. I'm not going to play that too much. It's not the games I expected on here, to be sure. Let's go under applications to see if it gives us anything else. It's interesting because it's giving us a bunch of these. I don't know what term apps is versus applications. I think that's one of my blockers here at the moment. So, I mean, if you let me know down in the comments, I'm sure everybody's laughing at me through this whole process. Anybody who's used this operating system, and that's fine. Again, this is just me exploring it. But, you know, I don't know what these are. Like, I don't have any obvious inkling as to what this term apps would be versus applications. But some of them are duplicated between the two menus. Okay, let's just go games again, and let's do Pac-Man for console. Does that make a difference? It's like it tries to load, but it can't. So I don't know what's going on there. It doesn't seem to be working. Vitris, is that like Tetris? Yeah, okay, it looks like Tetris to me. I'm going to see if it maximizes. No, it just keeps it here. So we're going to do a one-player game. All right, let's see what happens. Press a key. Oh, that's not the button to press. Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll go here. Oh, this is absolutely horrible. Oh, I love Tetris, but for some reason, I mean, I'm sure it's configurable, and you can go in. I keep on hitting the space bar, thinking that that's the change. Up arrow is the change, the direction of the piece. All right, well, this is not. I didn't say I was any good at this, everybody. That's for sure. Okay, can I go down slowly? Yeah. Okay, I just tap the keyboard, get in there. There we go. Oh, look at that! I'm a pro now. Oh no, I just lost my proness. Okay, enough of that. But you can see that we have all these games kind of pre-installed in the operating system. We'll go back to menu again under applications. So we have Archive Manager, LeafPad, Other Desktops, and ZZZ File Search. I'm gonna click on LeafPad. Is that like Notepad? Yeah, okay, that's just like Notepad. So that's pretty cool. And I'll go back under applications. We have Archive Manager. Is that for backing up? Yeah, I can't hit anything here, so I don't know what's going on. I'm just really trying to show everybody the operating system and how fumbling I am with it. Okay, we have distro tools, or disto tools it says. Crute Rescue Scan, CLI apt-based package manager, configure persistence, DSL bootable USB maker, live USB kernel updater, login manager, save persistence changes, set up persistence, user language, and Wi-Fi switch. Okay, continuing under applications, we have the games which we were playing around with a little earlier. Very basic games that are installed with the distribution, but that's to be expected. We have Paint Graphic Editor. So is this just Paint? Yeah, by the looks of things, it's a very basic Paint program. There we go. Very red. Okay, that was graphics. Under Internet, we have CENI, Conman UI setup, Dark HTTP DToggle, DILLO, Firefox ESR, GFTP, so an FTP application, I imagine. Links to, there's that Links to again. I'm going to click on that in a moment. MUT, MUTT, NetSurf web browser, which we saw earlier, and then UFW firewall, and of course SYL PHEED, so Sylpheed, is that what it is? So I'm going to click on Links to for a moment. I don't know what this is. Like, is it a, oh, it is. Okay, all right. What's this? URL, www.google.com. Is that what it's asking me? It totally is. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Is it a links browser? Is that what this is? So type in search, type in hello. It's a text-based browser? It totally is a text-based browser. That is so cool. Huh. Okay then. Under applications, we have multimedia now. We're going to bump away from the internet for now. We have ALSA mixer, so ALSA mixer, mixer equalizer, okay, sound card chooser. Okay, yeah, so we do have the Sound Blaster installed.
Front, right, front, left, front, right.
Okay, so sound card's working. It's called an ALSA. Select default ALSA card. All right, well, do you want to test the card again? No, because we have the sound now, so that's working. Okay, let's go back to our applications under our multimedia. So let's go to media player. Now that we set our sound card, drop files or URLs to play here. So yeah, okay, so it gives you the option to play full screen or not. There we are. See, we have full screen. Under Office, we have Abbey Word, numeric with a G, so just numeric. Let's click on that. Is that like Excel? Yeah, so there we go. So we have a version of Excel that's on here. Let's click, it says numeric spreadsheet. Free, fast, accurate, pick any 3. But I mean, heck, that it's on here. That's pretty cool. Let's go back to our desktop, our applications under our Office. So we have Abbey Word, which I imagine is just like Microsoft Word, just a word editing software. Yeah, sure enough. Hello, world. Oh, world. Oh my goodness. There we are. But yeah, okay, so we have full functioning Office software so far. So there we are. Preferences. Sorry, under Office, sorry again. We have Calc. Is that just calculator? Oh yeah, so it gives us kind of a very basic graphics, but scientific calculator. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Yay, okay, I'm good. Let's close that and go into our applications again. And Zathura, what is this? It says no document opened. I'm not familiar with this is. I'm clicking around and I don't have anything. Nothing. Okay, I'm just going to close that for now. I have to do a lot of research going into this. So as a novice user who has an older machine using this operating system so far, it is not going as well as I had hoped it would. But again, it's damn small Linux. It's very small. ADSL PPOE configuration. Oh, I just joked about ADSL and there it is. Alternative configurator, AR and R, configure auto mount, Conman UI setup. Again, don't know what Conman is. Customized look and feel, so that would be kind of our look of the operating system and what have you. Mouse configuration, pretty straightforward. Run it service manager, system keyboard, and user languages. We don't need to go into all those, but it'd be interesting to go through and explore some of these and learn a little bit about it. Under programming, vim.tiny, and under our system, choose startup services, control center. Let's go into control center for a moment. Is that like control panel? Yeah, okay. So it's DSL control center. So we choose our wallpaper, edit JWM settings, Fluxbox settings, customize look and feel, edit system monitor and preferred applications. Under our software, manage packages. So I imagine you can install more software to this now that it's been installed. You know, if you have the hard disk space that you could use that. Under system, choose startup devices, services, alternatives configuration. So we saw this earlier. Current keyboard layout, set date and time. So that's what I was talking about earlier about being in the wrong time zone because it's not 4 a.m. That's for sure. Network, so select Wi-Fi connect network interfaces and ADSL PPOE. We do have our network interface currently active. So there we go. It automatically loaded sudo, which is the admin, and it shows Ethernet 0 Ethernet, and as our 3COM, as our 10100 card. Under shares, our shared folders, if we were going to share this on the network, we could do that. Session, set screen resolution. This is our current session, I imagine what this means. Our login manager, which we saw earlier. Our active clipboard manager, set grub, boot image, and engage auto suspend. Our disks, so configure auto mount, live, USB maker, and image our partition if we want it. It's really cool that I include that in this distribution. Under our hardware, we have our mouse configuration, our SCSI, BUSC, rescan, sound card chooser, which of course we did earlier. So test sound, adjust mixer, and also mixer equalizer. Under our desktop, we have other desktops. So I don't know, like, is this considered Fluxbox? Is that what this is? Because I've seen that around on this particular screen. And then JWM, not sure. It shows, sleep. I don't know what the ZZZ means versus minimal and then the full. Conky on and off. What's that? Let's go back. Oh, okay. So it populated. Okay, so Conky must be this widget that's running over here that's showing all the different system resources. And it is interesting. Again, we're only running 83 megabytes of our 512. So in that regard, it is really good. DSL file restore. So is that, just as simple as file restoration? To make a functional desktop environment fit into 700 megabytes, many non-critical files had to be removed. The only files included in the ISO are English US, English GB, English Canada, and English Australia. However, all the locales originally included the Antix 23 along with the source codes. Many graphics, man pages, documentation can be restored. This script installs the missing files. Okay, the download size is 173 megabytes after installation. The files will take up an additional 518 megabytes of space. You wish to proceed. So the version we're using is the stripped down version, obviously, to install. And it's saying, hey, all your nice graphics and all the different files and all the different things they're basically stripped out of the operating system to be able to get running on older hardware. But this gives you the option to download and install. Now, I don't know what this includes specifically. It just says it installs the missing files. Be interesting to explore that in the future. App Killer, I don't know what that does. It just closed down up. Oh. Okay, did I just tell it to shut down? Yeah, so there goes my desktop. Just, so you click on App Killer and you just click on something? Yeah, okay. So you just click on App Killer and it turns your mouse into this little demon type person. And I click on the thing and there it is. Just closes it for you. That's interesting. Okay, App Killer Control Center and run is run just as simple. Yeah, run command, run in terminal, run as root. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Styles, which we already went through earlier. That's what we actually selected to look at this bigger menu. Under workspaces, so workplace alpha and beta. Doesn't give me anything under here. Icons, nothing. New workspace. Okay, so you can rename the current workspace, so alpha and beta. So I imagine you would name whatever you want. If I click on new workspace, does it give me a third one? It does. Okay, there we go. So under Fluxbox settings, we have under workspaces. Now I can go and configure that or rename it. Now it does give me the option to remove last. So I'll click on that again. And we'll hit the arrow over and we'll do alpha and beta again. So there we go. So that's pretty neat. So just basically different environments you can be running different things in as you're using it. And here we are. I mean, there's nothing else there, to be honest with you. I mean, that's what's installed. I mean, without actually going in and exploring what the DSL file restore will actually give us, I'm not exactly sure. But I imagine it would restore some of the missing components that were currently lackluster because it's so basic. I mean, as a user, I'd be interested in using it for web browsing, especially on my older PC, if I really wanted to try it out and kind of give some additional life on something new. But I'm still on today's internet. Remember that. I mean, that's the biggest fear, is having an old system that's even compatible to be able to browse the internet. And I'm able to do that here. You can see that. And I'm clicking around on their website. I mean, it's very, very text-based anyway. I mean, it's slow. And like I said, it's current hardware that I'm running off of. And if you remember, like, as slow as this is, as chunky as it is, you can see over here, it's only using the 218 megabytes of memory. It's still not even using the full memory that is available. And it's really limiting the use of that memory to be able to utilize and browse the current websites. But I mean, the operating system itself is not slow, but when I'm clicking around in the browser, I find that's very clunky as I'm using it. Okay, let's close out of this and go to our outro. We've spent enough time on this operating system for one video. And here we are at the end of the video. And you know what? It felt kind of clunky because it was. I mean, that's the true experience. I mean, I edited out some time delays between things, but outside of that, that was me exploring the operating system and not knowing a lot about it. If you remember Linux Mint, when I did that in that video, it was extremely intuitive. I just used it and I just felt good using it. Coming from a Microsoft user, coming from a PC user, going over to a Linux distribution, and it just felt really good. Barring the speed issues that this is experiencing, I realize what I'm doing here. I'm using an older Pentium 3 to be able to install a newer distribution of Linux, but that's what it says it's designed to do. It says, hey, I can take all the stuff that's new and run on older hardware, and I'm doing that. Now, would it make a difference if I download the extra files? I'm not sure. I'd have to experience that another day, but I mean, overall, the installation itself was really easy. I enjoyed that whole process of installing. Minus a little hiccup. If you're an end user with not a lot of a computer experience, you probably wouldn't be trying this anyway. But I mean, it does mount the CD. It does prompt you again. It doesn't tell you to remove the CD first before starting up the operating system. So you have to choose boot from hard disk. Otherwise, you'll just start the installation loop again. Outside of that, it did get to the desktop. And you know what? As a word processor, bringing back this old hardware back to life, word processing and even the basic browser, maybe some of the cool little games you have there. And I'm sure there's some packages you could download that really fit the system. But I mean, outside of that, using it for general web browsing, I probably wouldn't. It did take about probably 5 or 6 minutes just to load up to this website, the Retro Recall, as you see here on YouTube. And it was quite difficult to even do that, so I haven't even tried clicking on a video to see if it would even play. But outside of that, I don't know if it's the network that's throttling that or the way it's handling the lower memory. being able to even bring this to everybody through this process. Again, but this is a pretty cool project that, over time, as they continue to work on it, that you can actually utilize the older hardware. If this was on a Pentium 4, Core 2 Duo, Core 2 Quad, you start getting into that realm before the i3 series, I could see this running a lot faster. I mean, you're talking about a gigabit Ethernet card, very easily configurable. But on whole hardware like this, not as well. But I will say for myself that where this is really the third Linux distribution that I've actually used to the point where I've installed it. We're talking the first Ubuntu, we're talking the Linux Mint, and now we're talking DSL 2024. This was not my favorite of the three for sure. I mean, I wouldn't spend a lot of time on this personally. I'm really curious to hear from you guys about this, about what your experience is with this. Am I thinking about this all wrong? I'm totally okay to the feedback. That's how we all learn. And I love doing videos like this because it's really engaging, and I feel like it really sparks the viewership to be able to comment and really talk about their experiences. But I mean, heck, if you haven't tried this, try it. I mean, you have old hardware laying around, try it. I mean, it does work that way, but I think at the end of the day, I'll save my Pentium 3 hardware for retro gaming. That said, if you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It makes a world of difference, helps this channel grow. Hit the notification button, change it to all. You'll be notified of new content such as this. Please leave a comment down below. What is your experience with this Linux distribution? Have you heard of this? Let me know down in the comments. I've peppered in along the whole video about areas that I'd like you to comment on, please, because I learn from it, you learn from it, the community learns from it, and I love hearing about your experiences. I respond to absolutely every comment. Always making new content. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.